We're going to talk professional theatre now because a musical set in Dublin follows the unforgettable story of an Irish street musician and a amused Czech woman drawn together by their shared love of music. Has opened at the award-winning Barn Theatre, of course, in Cirencester. Dominic Shaw's the director and choreographer of the production and joins me this afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Dominic. Great name, by the way.
Hello, Dom. How are you? Nice to be here.
Yeah, really lovely to have you on. And I remember I spoke to you, went to see the first ever production at, of course, the Barn, which was the Secret Garden all those years ago. So that was, it was ages ago, but it feels ages ago now, doesn't it?
It was 5 years ago, it was, yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, we've all had to move on for obvious reasons since then. Let's talk about the musical once then. Many people listening might have seen the film, might not have seen the film. We'll obviously talk about what you've done with the musical in just a minute. But did you watch the film before kind of bringing your own sort of interpretation to the stage?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I was a big fan of the film before it even became a musical. It came out in 2007, and the music, the soundtrack, it was a very, very low budget indie film, but it went on to win an Oscar for best song, Falling Slowly, which is probably what most people will know from once, on the wider sense of things. But then it got turned into a Broadway musical. It won 8 Tony Awards, came to London, won lots of Olivier Awards, stunning production. And that was sort of 10 years ago. And then Yuan Lewis from the Barn Theatre approached me last year to see if I wanted to reimagine it for sort of today's audiences. And I had this idea to make it a bit more of a rock concert and a bit more kind of a bit bigger, a bit louder, a bit more of a spectacle. And the Barn Theatre is a perfect venue for that because it's small, but it has such a big heart and such big kind of tech capabilities. It was a perfect venue for it. And I've just we opened on Wednesday. Everyone's very excited about it, and yeah, it's been great fun.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sometimes a small, intimate stage can seem so big, can't it? And that's what's so unique at the Barn.
I think so. And well, I mean, the source material is so great. I mean, if you think about artists like, I don't know, Ed Sheeran or those kind of people, that's one man and an acoustic guitar, but he fills Wembley Stadium, and that's kind of the aesthetic we went with for once at the Barn, is that, there's lots of acoustic guitars, but then we go electric, and then we go big drums and big electric guitars and big sound, and then we go right back down again to something very intimate. And the script is so malleable in that sense. So it's been a great experience to play around with it and sort of get it feeling as big and emotional as possible.
Set in one of my favourite cities. I was there earlier this year, yeah. Dublin. I mean, just tell us a little bit more of the story.
So you have an Irish busker who is just called Guy. He is about to give up on his music. He's sort of at the end of his rope, and then he meets a Czech immigrant woman who encourages him basically to not give up on his music, and they have this unlikely love story that unfolds in unpredictable ways, and it's a sort of bittersweet ending. I won't ruin it, but it really is a study on love and music and how those things intersect and how those sort of forces of nature come together. Always, it's always about love songs and how music gets made and how music changes and how your relationship with music changes and all those kind of things. So it's a really beautiful story about love, music, and friendship.
Maybe you can tell us about some of the cast.
We've got a brilliant actress called Sarah Moss, who's playing Girl, the Czech woman. She is just incredible. She's like a young Barbra Streisand. I just for that reason alone go and see the production. And Thomas and just 9 fantastic acting musicians. They all play multiple instruments, all sing, all kind of dance a little bit, and bring the story to life. Yeah.
How do you kind of? I know you're obviously directing and the choreographer as well, but how does that kind of work out? Because that's a lot of responsibility, isn't it?
Well, I'm a very sort of visual director. My background is musical theatre, and with this kind of thing, I mean, because they're holding instruments most of the time, they can't do a whole lot of movement. So really, it's what I call musical staging, and it's how you create pictures to tell stories. And that sort of thing comes quite easily to me. Some people like to separate that. And I've done projects where I'm just the director, like Secret Garden. I just directed that, and had a choreographer come on board. But for me, because the music and the story and it all sort of comes together, it was quite a natural process for me to make pictures on stage with these wonderful actors.
How nervous did you get on the first night? So the Wednesday night was the first night to the public, but before then, did you have like a technical rehearsal, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so we have like a week of technical rehearsals, and then we have 2 previews. So the slightly lower price tickets, but the house was full and the audiences were there, and it's very nerve-wracking. I mean, for me, it's fine, but for those actors who are playing those instruments and having to I'm not a guitarist, but having to get those chords and all the sort of fingering and the strumming and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's incredible that they've managed to do it.
How is it kind of mixing all the music together? Because obviously it's an intimate venue, but I imagine if you have the music mix too loud, you're going to spoil the experience for people. If it's too quiet, how do you get that balance right?
It's just trial and error, really, and it's about having those previews and getting the feedback from the audience and the feedback from me. And we have a great sound designer, Nick Newman, who is balancing levels all the time, and it all gets programmed so that once we do the show, on a daily basis, it's pretty much the same every night.
Oh, I like it. So you push a few. Okay, that works there. Push a few buttons, right. And it's all. But you have to be like that. It's a bit like doing a radio show. You get your settings right, and hopefully it's all right. Amazing. Tell us about the emotions. I know you don't want to talk too much more about the story because people need to go and see it. It's on until the 12th of August, of course. But what about the emotions? Do you cry as well as laugh? Is there a bit of both or not?
It is a tragic ending. It's very sad, but it's also, I think, uplifting, and it's about letting go. I think it's about letting go of past relationships, and I think it's about moving on, moving forward, and particularly with the two leads, they have this sort of gorgeous, unlikely love affair that could never happen. It's like a sliding doors moment, and it's wonderful and heartbreaking at the same time.
I know. I've got several people I've already spoken to who've already got their tickets. We're like, I can't believe it's on at the Barn. I've seen the film, but I want to see what they've done with it and all of that. So you must be really proud to get this on stage and have your whole team together. You mentioned Ewan Lewis, the artistic director, again, continuing to make kind of groundbreaking theatre in the heart of the Cotswolds. It's so special, that, isn't it?
It's amazing. Ewan's a real trailblazer. I just his drive and ambition for what regional theatre can be in today's very, very challenging climate financially. He's a real force to be reckoned with. And I have so much respect for the Barn Theatre and what Ewan's doing, just sort of pushing the envelope with all that kind of stuff. And it needs it because, as I said, theatre economically is so challenging at the moment post-COVID. We sort of think we've returned, but actually we haven't. So we just need as much support as possible in terms of just buy a ticket and if you're interested in it in any capacity, go and see it, and I guarantee you have a great time.
Barntheatre.org.uk. I'm clicked on it at the moment. Academy Award-winning modern day musical featuring an Irish busker and a Czech woman, and their eventful week in Dublin, recording a demo album with a motley crew of bar friends in a collaboration that evolves into a very beautiful love story. That just sums it up, doesn't it, really, Dominic?
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a good summary, and it's so rich. The script is so amazing. I really hope lots of people go and see it.
All right. And are there matinees, or is it mainly just in the evenings?
I believe there's a Thursday matinee and a Saturday matinee.
Okay, fantastic stuff. Good luck with it, and well done for putting on another really, really strong production. Dominic Shaw, director and choreographer of the latest production from the Barn Theatre course in Cirencester, reviving the Tony and Olivier Award-winning musical Once, running at the theatre up until the 12th of August. So get yourself along to that. Have a great weekend, Dominic. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dom. Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.